Welcome everyone back to In the Conversation with Maya. Hope you are doing well when you are tuning into this episode. I know we've had a little bit of a break. We've had a little bit of a gap. But y'all know I can only come and speak on the podcast unless I genuinely have a topic idea. I said in my last episode that when I first started, it was back to back to back to back. And things have kind of slowed down and things have kind of sped up. So we're kind of on and off in a good way. I think when you're moving through life, you always got to move at the pace that is comfortable for you. And if you move too fast or you move too slow, I think there's a danger in between that. I think you just have to find the middle line and you have to do what works for you, right? What works with your schedule, what works in your life, what works with wherever you're at in life. Go at the pace that you feel like is for you, and everyone will meet you there. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to everyone that said happy birthday, everyone that reached out, the messages, the calls. I truly appreciate it. We are year 26, and I have to say, somebody asked me about my birthday, and I said this was the best one. I think this was the best birthday, and I think it was just a combination of different things. And my best friend, she flew out, and we've been best friends for a little over 11 years, and it was just being surrounded by people that I genuinely love and being in a place where I can just enjoy. I think we get caught up in work, we get caught up in life, and it's so important that you celebrate yourself. Whether it's your birthday, whether you have an accomplishment, whether you have set a new goal and you did it, you have to make sure that you take that time out to celebrate you. I don't think it's prideful. I don't think it's arrogance. I don't think it's too much. It's never too much to celebrate and do you. So with that being said, I had a great birthday, and all in life is doing well. I'm so happy because the weather in Georgia is starting to get its act together, y'all. Because let me tell y'all something. They was on the news and they was like, it's going to do this, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. And I'm like, okay. Now, as a girl from Nebraska, I don't really be fazed by snow, but I honestly cannot stand snow. Like, I'm just over the snow, the ice. And so each week they kept saying all these different things are going to happen. And I'm looking out the window, nothing's happening. And I was like, you know what? Do what you want. But by February 3rd, wrap all of this up. Wrap all of this snow, all of this ice needs to go. Okay. So that was just my mindset. And yeah, y'all, we had sunny skies on my birthday, okay? And I think it's supposed to be like 70 tomorrow. So I am looking forward to this warm weather so I can break out into my dresses, into my rompers. Like my style, the winter and me, we just don't get along. But anyways, like I said, I hope all is doing well. And that was just a bit of a little catch up. Today's episode is actually stemming from something that happened during the week of my birthday, and this episode is called The Desired Request. And yes, I have a story. So I'm still in the process of getting a new vehicle, and so thankfully I don't have to having a car for me isn't like a super need, right? Like, I work from home. A lot of things that I do happens in my home, and then wherever I need to go, I can just get an Uber Lyft. So anyway, so still in the process of that. So please keep me in your prayers for that. Anyway, so with that being said, since my friend was in town, I decided, well, of course, we're going to need to get around. So I'm going to go get a rental. And I had went on, you go to the rental site and you go and find which car, and, you pick out either you want the SUV or sedan or whatever it is. So I went on there and I did that. And it was actually my first time renting a car besides Turo. I went through, I went through a different rental, a known rental place to get the car. So I went and did that. And then on Monday, because my birthday was Tuesday, on Monday, I went there and, I'm filling out the paperwork, I'm doing it. And there first, he was like, okay, we're going to put you in, he said some type of Hyundai. Okay. And so he pointed to one outside and I looked at it and I was like, okay, all right. So it ended up not being that one. So the guy behind the counter then walks me outside. He's like, okay, so he's going to take you to the car, make sure everything looks right. And then, we'll kind of set you on your way. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we go out and we pass, like, I think the first car he was showing was like an example of like, hey, it's going to be this size and style. I was like, okay. So then we ordered, no. Let me back up. So first he points to a car and he's like, we'll put you on the Ford Mustang. And I'm looking at him like, no, sir. No, thank you. I don't need a Ford Mustang, right? Because, for my birthday, I was going to have people ride with me. So that itty bitty car was just not going to do for me. So anyway, so the guy leaves me outside and we're going out and we're passing cars. And so he gets to this one vehicle and he's like, okay, so this is, basically like the car. And so he's not asking me any questions. Well, he's not saying like rating specifically, right? He's just like letting me look at it. So, okay. So I'm looking at it, right? And it's not a bad car, but I'm just like, this isn't really my style, right? So I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, okay. So at first he had pointed to one and I was like, this one? He's like, no, not this one, this one. So I'm looking at it. I'm walking around and I'm just like, okay. So I open the door and, it's a little smaller. So it's like an SUV, but it's like still a little bit smaller. And I looked up and said, okay, it's got the sunroofs. I love me a good car with a good sunroof. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay. But then something in my spirit just wasn't settled on it. I was like, ugh. So I take a step back. So I'm letting him kind of look at it. He's like, okay, we'll dust off the snow and, we'll kind of, get it ready. And I think he literally starts the engine, he starts up the car. So I take a step back. And so then I start looking, what else is around me. So I'm starting to walk around and I'm like, so I see another car. And I think it was similar to the last rental that I had back in December. And so I look in there. I think I was able to get into that one. And I looked at it. I said, am I able to get in this one? And he was like, yeah. I said, oh. I said, I don't have to choose that one. And he was like, no, we can keep the same rate. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm still examining my options. I'm still looking because the first one I just wasn't settled on. Like my spirit was just like, it's nice, but it's not what I want. Okay. So then I was like, okay, let's go ahead and go with this one. Right. And so boom. And then he's like, okay, we'll get the people to come out here and clean it. And so we're walking back and my eyes goes back onto this one car that I initially saw when I first came out that I really liked. So then I try it again. And so I'm like, okay, can we look at this one? And this was I think it was like a newer 2021, 2022, 2025. I know, Hyundai Kona, one of the newer ones. And so he opens it up and I'm sold. I'm like, okay, can I do this one? And he's like, yeah. I said, and we'll keep the same rate. He said, yeah. And I was like, okay, great. And so he ended up putting me in the one that I had desired. And then when I had went back in, another customer came in and they gave the customer the one that they were going to give me, but I did not settle for that. So I say all that to say, don't accept the first offer or the first thing that's always given to you. I believe anything that you're investing in, anything you have to put your money, your time, even dating, relationships, friendships, a lot of times we are offered something is presented, and depending on our mindset on things, we just be like, okay, I'll take that. Even when our spirit is like, ooh, I don't know about this, we just accept it. And I don't think it's rude. I don't think it's bougie. I don't think it's ever too much to see something that you desire and just request it. Like it doesn't make someone snotty or arrogant or too much because they saw something that they didn't like and they were like, I don't think I want to do that. Not only that, but as I was in that moment, I started to examine all of my options. And sometimes we get into places and things and environments, and even when you go out to eat, we just feel like, oh, I gotta sit here. I gotta take this because the waiter or the person. No. When you are investing and you're spending your time and money in places, you have the right to request what it is that you desire. And it's okay to accept certain things to a certain point. But when you want to be satisfied, when you want to be fulfilled with something, you should go after what it is that you ultimately desired. Right? Because it wasn't like when I came out there, he was like, okay, here are all your options. Go ahead and choose one. No. He took me to the one that was offered. Right? Okay. So someone's going to come and they're saying, well, this is what I can offer. Right? And, I looked at the offer and I said, and I almost said, I was like, well, you know what? I'll just go ahead and do that. But then my spirit just was not settled. And that's another thing too. A lot of times our spirit, the Holy Spirit starts speaking to us. And when something's off or when something's not settled, we'll adhere to it. And sometimes we don't adhere to it. And because if I would have took it and I would have drove off, then I would have just settled, but then I wouldn't have been as happy. I wouldn't have been as excited because it really wasn't what I wanted, right? And the word offer means to present an expression regarding to do or give, to make available, to provide access or an opportunity. So in that moment, they gave me an offer. Now it's up to me to make a decision. Am I going to accept what it is that's being presented? And a lot of times we just accept because we just feel like, oh, it's just easy. It's just easier for me to do. And the other person that came in behind me, they just took it. And that's no shame to them. It's not to say that they did anything wrong, but because it was my investment and because I knew I was going to have this vehicle for a couple of days, I cared about what I was going to be driving in. I cared about the appearance and I cared about being comfortable. And we got to make sure that whatever we whatever we yoke ourselves to, even with people, that we are comfortable. If it's not what you want, if that person is not giving you what you need, you have the right to say, hey, can we talk about this? Do you mind, doing this for me? Or this is what I like. This is what I desire. Right? So you make your offer, you make that request to the person, to the job, to whatever it is. And then how they respond, will kind of dictate kind of what goes on. Right? And so we got to also think about the motive, right? Right. And so I had several reasons, one, it was a huge investment. And also I was considering the people that were going to be riding with me. And so you have to also look at the overall picture when you are requesting, when you are wanting something as well. And I love the scripture, which is in James 4:23. And you can relate this to a couple of different things. James chapter 4:2 verses 3. And it's just talking about, let's see, I'm going to do I think the version that I saw that I like was the King James versions. And it was just talking about, you desire, but you do not have. So you kill, you covet, and you cannot get what you want. So you quarrel and fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. When you ask, you do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives, that you may spend what you get on your pleasure. So the motive also is important as well. And I stop at the part where it says you do not have because you do not ask God, or you have not because you ask not. You have not because you ask not. It's not a bad thing to ask what it is that you want. Whether it's in a relationship or a friendship, if you're not getting what you want, if you are seeking after something, you feel like you're not being fulfilled, you have to say something. You have to make it known. The people at the rental car place probably didn't know what my style was. All they did was just make an offer. And it was my decision at that point if I wanted to accept what it is that they were going to give me, or if I was going to make an alternative decision. Because honestly, I was getting at that point where I was like, you know what? If this is what was going to be offered, I was about to just go to a different rental car place. Because in my mind, the way that it was presented online was it was going to be, X, Y, and Z. So when I got there, it wasn't what I thought. And so in that moment, I had to examine all the options. I had to examine, okay, what is it here that I can be able to take for myself and I'll be able to be satisfied. So don't accept everything that's always presented. Don't always accept the first offer. A lot of times also in business, we do a lot of negotiating. We get something or someone offers us this and we're like, but let's try to negotiate. Let's try to see where we can find the place where I feel like I'm getting my value as a business owner and you as a customer is getting what you need as a customer, as the consumer, right? So it has to work all the way around because now that I'm satisfied, hey, now they can get a good review. Not that I was going to give them, let's say, a bad review, but I just wasn't satisfied on what was offered to me. And so you have to present what it is that you want to the person, to the opportunity, and then you have to just go after it. In that lot, they had all these different options, different car sizes, different comfort levels, and different colors, right? And so in that moment, I was able to kind of examine, and then I just went to one and said, hey, well, what about this one? And they responded. And if it wasn't available, they just want to give it. But the key part here was, when I first went out there, there was they literally gave me, they literally were giving me what they thought that I would want. And so I had to make a verbal out loud expression, a verbal out loud request. Hey, this is what I desire. I think this is what I want. Is there a way that we can make this happen? And then they responded. You don't have to settle for the first thing that's given to you. You don't have to settle for the first offer. It doesn't make you less of a person. It doesn't make you all high and mighty because you just don't want that. Okay. I can say no. Saying no is not mean. Saying I don't prefer that is not mean. Saying, well, I would prefer this over that is not mean. You have the right to say what it is that you want. You have the right to go after the request, to seek what it is that your heart desires, offer it and get it. In relationships, especially, if you feel like your partner, that you're not being fulfilled or you're not getting the things that you want, you can make that request. Hey, I want this. I want more dates, or I want more flowers, or whatever it is, especially with the love language, it's very important that you are tending to your partner. And if you feel like you're not getting enough of that, then you have to say something. You have to open up your mouth because not everyone is going to read your mind. Like I said, the people at the rental place, they didn't necessarily know. They were just making an offer. They can only go based off, what it is with their protocol. And when the next customer came in, they gave the person the car that they were going to give me to them. And I'm sure if that person would have spoke up and would have said, oh, I don't want that. What else do you guys have? Well, what else? Is there something else that I can have? Then I'm sure they would have given it to them. I'm sure they would have made a way just like they did for me. So I say all that to say, having the requests, having the desires of your heart and asking what it is, it's okay. Especially when it's an investment of your time, your money, opportunity, whatever it is. When you're investing time and you're spending time with it, it's important that you get what it is that you want. And it's important that you examine all the options. Okay, what is it here that I can make it work that's going to fulfill what it is that I need? And then from there, you'll be able to either go after it or you can make some alternative decisions. But I just don't believe in settling. I don't believe my dad always said in business, the worst thing that someone can tell you in business is no. That's all they could have told me. No. But because they didn't, and because I asked, and because I made my requests, the same prayer, make your request known to God. Tell the Lord what it is that you want. This isn't just about cars. This is much deeper than that. This is about going after the things that you want, being intentional, and telling the Lord, hey, I want this. I desire this. And then having the faith that you'll be able to receive it in its due time. So that was today's episode. I did not time this, so I actually don't know how long this one is, but hopefully it was long enough. I hope you learned something within the conversation, and I hope that in today's episode that you don't always just accept what's presented to you, that you go after what it is that you want, that you get all of your heart's desires. And if it's according to God's will, it's going to happen. So keep that on your mind this week. Whatever it is that you want, go after it, ask for it. It doesn't make you, like I said, a bad person because you did not settle. It doesn't make you a bad person because you had a different options. It's okay to have options, and it's okay to go after the option that you want. So keep that in mind as you go about this week, this year, this month. Don't accept everything that's always offered to you. Examine all the options. Ask, and you shall receive it. So I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episodes. Be blessed and know that Jesus loves you. And I'll talk to you guys soon.